Liberation happens in our lives each time we announce and that we allow the strength of the risen in us. So today let me know the experience of being a half-dead man. We do this all the time, right? How many times in life are we kind of dead? When are we a little dead? When does discouragement prevail in us? When does hate prevail in us? When does the grudge prevail in us? Now, I announced the risen. I remember that I was not born to live in this state of being a little dead. I have to be alive. To handle life, I have to be alive. I have to be this first place where life finds a space. This is announcing the risen. This is what it consists of. I am committed to the causes of Jesus. We can't think, guys, that I will follow the Jesus I want. No. There is a given objective of this segment. The church teaches us. The churches teach us. I speak from the church that I teaches, from the faith I teaches, the Catholic Church. It teaches me the presence. It teaches me the gospel. It teaches me the way Jesus is. The way Jesus lived. The way as Jesus acted. And this human model is resurrected. It is resurrected. It is among us, even though it has gone through the experience of death, because death was not decisive for him. He has won death. He is glorious, is a glorious presence among us. That is, he is no longer dead, but he lives. And because he lives, makes me live too. And that is the challenge of all the time. Today, I need bring the risen to the world. This is why the Christian liturgy will always be the celebration of the risen, making us resurrect as well. It all happens in the strength of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Always bringing us, causing the church to walk in this process of purification, of resumption of life. We left in that consists of redemption, right? It is you to remove a person from an unfavorable state and put them in a better place. This is resurrection experience. What was dead is now alive. And it's interesting, my people, because we need to do it within us all the time. You spend moments of your life when you need to rise. We need to resurrect every day. There are few situations that kill us, and it is not in death in the body. The death of the reasons, the objectives. How many times do we lose our goals in life? Are we dying for these goals? We lose the motivations. We lose our brightness. And just like a dish is being grimy, every now and then we don't wash it. She will losing beauty. The same thing happens to us. If we lose sight of the invitation that the risen makes us dive into it every day of our lives so that we raise with it too, we will lose our shine. We get a little dead. We lose the fun and death is overcoming. But that is not the goal. Announcing the risen is, first of all, to live the dynamics of resurrection in our history. He says a young college student who, on his first day of school, the teacher introduced himself and asked everyone to seek to meet someone they didn't know yet. He stood, looked around when a hand touched him softly on his shoulder. He turned around and saw an old lady, quite wrinkled now, whose smile illuminated her all. She said, smiling. The boy laughed and responded enthusiastically. Of course he can. She gave him a hug and he immediately asked, Why are you at university at such a young and innocent age? Laughing, she answered, I'm here to find a rich husband. Get married. Have 2 children. And then retire and travel. I speak seriously, he said. I want to know what motivates the lady to face this challenge at this age. Rose answered genteel. I always dreamed of having a university education, and now I will have. After class, both walked together for a long time and became good friends. Every day, for the next 3 months, they went out of class together and talked a lot. The young college student was fascinated to study that time machine. She shared with him her experience, her wisdom, and during the course, Rose became very popular at the university. I made friends wherever it was. He liked to dress well, rejoiced with the attention he received from other students, and at the end of the last semester, she was invited to speak at the celebration party. That day, she gave everyone an unforgettable lesson. As soon as they presented her, she took the stage and began to pronounce the speech that was prepared beforehand. He read the first sentences and knocked down the cards where his notes were. Frustrated and a little embarrassed, she leaned over the microphone and simply said, "Sorry, I'm very nervous. I will not be able to put my speech again in order. So, allow me to simply tell them what I know today." While everyone laughed, she cleared her throat and started. "We don't stop playing because we're old. We are old precisely because we stop playing. There are some secrets to staying young, being happy and triumphing. We have to laugh and find the good humor every day. We have to have an ideal. When we lose sight of our ideal, we begin to die. There are so many people walking around that they are already dead and do not even know. There is a big difference between being old and maturing. If you are 19 years old and are a whole year not doing anything productive, they will become 20-year-olds. If I am 87 years old and I stay for a year doing nothing useful, I will turn 88. We can all grow old. It does not require talent or ability to do so. The important thing is to mature, always finding an opportunity and change. I do not regret anything. We elderly do not usually regret what we did, but what we didn't do. And finally, the only ones who fear death are the ones who bring the remorse in their hearts." This ended his speech and sang the pink music. He asked everyone to study the letter of the song and put it into practice in their lives. Rose finished her studies and a week after graduation died. More than 2,000 college students have watched the funeral honors to yield tribute to the wonderful woman who taught them with her example that it is never too late to get everything you can and should be. I recalled that before the big change in Sao Paulo's life, before the great conversion of Sao Paulo, he had to fall off his horse. And falling off the horse meant in the life of St. Paul the watershed, before and after. The human being he was, and the human being he became. That experience of falling, coming to the ground, that's interesting, right? When we die, we go to the floor. We are a seed again. That's why we believe that death is just a passing experience. Because we are born to a new life, we are sown in the ground from which we came from. But in the fall of Sao Paulo, he did not live the experience of being buried in his physique, in his matter. But he was buried in his old way of life. Fall on earth, touch the ground, and raise different. The same way when I was ordered. This is interesting. At the time of ordination, I lived it with great conscience. As I lay down with water. As I got up too. The experience of you being transformed into the touch of the floor. What is it to play the floor? It is touching human experience as it is. Things that suddenly fall into oblivion because of the hurry we live. Because of the way we lead our lives. Sometimes God needs to take a fall on us, isn't it? Either it is not God who gives the fall. He takes the opportunity we took to teach us something. But the big challenge is to make the fall experience a moment of fresh start. We are going to make the drop experience a beautiful experience of you rediscovering something within you that was already forgotten until then. Some things that are getting inside our hearts, and suddenly we stop accessing. You may not have fallen from the horse or the plane, but it may be that at some point in your life you have experienced the risk of you almost losing the life you have. Delivery experience, we say. When two was free from death, when I managed to survive the attack of death. The danger of death. That moment when we are betrayed, that moment when we are deceived, when things do not go the way we should go. And we have that feeling that we fall. When we are deceived, for example, when we are betrayed, we have a feeling that we are on the floor. How many times? right? You use this expression, shovel. I'm on the floor. The experience of you seeing a world fall is on the floor. But you see, the floor is a beautiful place to start life. If you want tasty fruits, you have to throw the seed in the sun. It's not enough to look at the seed saying that beautiful tree you will be. It is no use you keep the seed admiring it if you do not make the process of death the soil brings. And sometimes in the falls we suffer in our lives, it is an ideal moment for us to raise new. Because this fright, this possibility of losing our lives, seems to have the power to wake us up whole. To look at the children we have, for our greatest riches, for what is truly worth living, to the point of transforming our perspectives, my people. And that's what needs to happen to us every day. The conversion process is the process of returning to the floor, where I throw my seeds. Today, I want to take the pain I have inside myself. Suffering cannot be in vain. No, an event like this cannot be in vain. We need to extract from it as much learning so that we get out more alive, more resurrected, more cohesive, stronger, because this is God's proposal for us. Find out the moment you have fallen, and there you will find the reasons for your improvement. Which one will be the instrumental of your transformation as a person? The fall. A moment of difficulty, opening our horizons for us. Who knows? Contemplating the world in a way. Make your prayer request. Can you be going through such an experience today? I'm on the floor, priest. Today, I would need a word. Today, I need a prayer. Today, I need someone who helps me to live. Thanks, you are connected with us. And it is a huge pleasure. Once again, we are here entering your house, inviting you to spend this time with us and find out here and what happens. What we say. Something that can do well. Our chart. And when you change your look at you change your look at each other. And you stop wanting the other to live like you want. Because those who are satisfied with their own life have no need to invite the other's life. Those who are satisfied with their own life will be tolerant with each other who has chosen to live differently. Enough of these boring Christians who are all the time despising who doesn't live the way he thinks it is best. Neither Jesus did it. On the contrary, Jesus welcomed people. So any change that has to happen, that happens after you love yourself again. To love yourself like God before. It may seem strange, but if you look at the HR of Jesus, it was the worst in human history. He only chose people who could not pay. That's why I'm here. I didn't get in the front door. I was never the accredited seminarian. I was never the one who someone, this boy will be a priest. There is nothing. It's just a study. I didn't get in the front door. And I make sure that you who don't feel invited to get ahead either, stick to me. And then that we can insist until the end that this God does not give up on us. For me, for you, that really our needs are the same. And some of them just over time we will find out. There are things that are no use you try to understand the moment you are not prepared to understand this. The greatest wealth we can have in life is to love and be loved. But sometimes we take time to find out that. We delude ourselves. We think that the greatest wealth we can have is in what the day finds. And we often spend a good time from our lives believing it, including investing in it. And it's no problem that you work on this mind, that you build your dreams, that you do everything to have the financial resource to live well and live happily. But never forget that the time will come to your life that you will understand that true wealth is not the money that can bring you. Some things money buys, But what really sustains a human being standing, without fear of making mistakes, is not the money he brings. It is the heart that conquers. And you have to have these two things around. Living to get what money buys is no problem. I say again, work a lot, study a lot, extract your possibilities as much as possible. Because they can bring a lot of material riches. It is no problem you grow, but never forget the riches that will make you feel that life was worthwhile. It will not be your bank account. It will not be the buildings, the houses. Will be the ones you made. There is nothing more beautiful than that. And that you look to the side and you realize that your life has a huge wealth that you have taken time to realize. And that love is not a graphic investment for the day. There's nothing richer at all, guys, than you trust someone. There is nothing more precious than being with a person you can trust, who you can count on. It is not meaningless that within our home, it is the learning of love. There is no other place for us to live this. Since when you entered this world, someone had to love you very radically. If not, you would not survive. The first phases of life, we are entirely dependent on those who love us. And that's how we learn. It's not reading the books. Loving, we learn by loving, exercising. And that's how we build the wealth that money doesn't buy. And that you may even have the opportunity to buy good companies. Just have some money. Just have a party. Just release, and you will always be surrounded by people. But don't worry, your money can buy. For the emotional dimensions, why don't we also identify these indigencies that cannot be measured? I have no way to measure how much you are jealous. But this is indigence. Because jealousy puts you in an unfavorable situation before yourself. You lose peace. You lose peace. No relationship is healthy when jealousy, this feeling of possession, is going through their way. Or the way of between mother and a son, between a son and a father. Jealousy is established where there are people. And without fear of making mistakes, we all have a dose of jealousy. There is no jealousy of anyone. A lie. In addition, he is a liar. Because deep down you have it's because you may be emotionally comfortable. Go through a process. A threat of losing to you to see. When we are in the comfort of emotion, it is natural that we do not recognize that it is jealous. The discomfort is that it will show where your fragility is. So well, it's no problem you recognize that it's biased to feel jealousy. Wanting the other for you, okay? But this indigence needs to be worked on. It is commitment. Qualifies the human being when he will be willing to live this daily commitment to improving what he has, what he is, what he can, what he cannot. As I take care of everything that makes me who I am taking more autonomy, I get freer. Okay, atheists and Christians are at the same level of fighting. No one is dismissed. The human being, if he does not strive to overcome his ills, he will never live the condition of person. He is limited to being an individual who can very little offering himself. Do we have this challenge? Shouldn't it be a pessimistic view? We here, when we assume these two indigencies, physical indigence and inner indigencies of inner life, which reflect on moral dimensions, affective issues, spiritual issues, we are then facing a field to work. And the first step I even wanted to write down here. The first step I need to establish for myself is the knowledge of mercy. God's mercy is mercy that will give me a position to make a positive experience of my limit. Because when I am exposed to my limit, I have two possibilities. I understand him positively, like a flag that will help me go through the difficult paths and reach my place. Or I understand him as ugly, sad, that I'm ashamed. It is the culture of rejection. How many of us were traumatized when we expose ourselves miserable to someone? How many of us here have created an inner rejection for ourselves? because what you offered from yourself was not enough to brighten each other. And when we are children, we still have no maturity to be able to say, I have no obligation to make you happy. This is with the time we get free from IT. No, and so, only time goes on maturing us to realize. Look, if you like me, good. Otherwise, there are billions and billions of people in the world you may like. I don't have to adapt to what you want to be wanted for you. A child does not have this maturity. A child naturally suffers the imposition of the eyes that take over her, because she is experiencing two indigencies, and one more prevalent, which is physical indigence. It is amazing our dependence on father and mother. How do we need you like us? It hurts. And sometimes you don't like what I truly show you. Your gaze reproves me, and I'm not showing you as. There is no harmony all the time. Life, precisely because it is alive, is movement. Heraclitus, a philosopher of the first we had in the history of philosophy, said that life is coming. That is, we are in the process of becoming constantly moving. He said it is impossible for you to bathe twice in the water of the same river, because when you jump, he is one, left, he is already another. While you are there, the river is passing. It is movement. While the river is movement, it is also chaotic. It is out of order. But it is also beautiful. He is refreshing. He is healthy. There are always the two realities all of the time being observed. It's a question I always like to ask myself. What do I fall into people when I arrive in an environment? Yes, because I also identify myself as the one who brings confusion, as the one who removes peace, as the one who gets trouble. Yes. I'm not free from it. But I don't want to be that. So you realize some people so used to being like this no longer problematize. The atmosphere is good when it arrives. It gets heavy, too critical, sharp, nauseous, boring. No. It doesn't have to be so. I will have to deal with precariousness all the time, with chaotic realities, because we are like this. I have a nature that can be harmonious in me. I fight for that. I seek in my daily life to establish within my conduct, within agenda of the day. I try to put my self-awareness. The opportunity to learn to deal with me, so that I know how to know my mechanisms, why I feel that way, why I'm undecided, why I have easy to piss off with that kind of reality, with that kind of stimulus. I'm doing my homework. But I don't stop being chaotic. I walk towards a harmonization of all this. But all the time I experience chaotic. Sometimes we become heavy people for others because we are not sensitive to realize that we are like this, that we are used to being like this. From everything we complain, for everyone we complain. We lost already. We no longer have the perception of how much we complain. And of course we become a weight for another. Because no one likes to be with a person who complains all the time. Or we become gossiping and find it natural to make gossip all the time. Comment on life there all the time. We arrived in an environment we cause nothing but gossip. We do not cause good fruits, which is unfortunate. We waste the opportunity to turn the environment with our lives, with our way of being. Life is like this. Life has contrary, as the song says. Law has once, for free has its price. And I need to identify in my daily life all these realities, understand them and absorb what is favorable of all this. Because sometimes we have a temptation to think that the contradictory cannot favor us. Maybe yes. When I experience my contradiction, when I experience my hypocrisy, when I experience my transgression, there I have the opportunity to learn good rules. In my weakness is that I am strong, Sao Paulo said. It is the discourse of contradiction. I know you live the same challenges as me, because we are the same. We may even be in different stages, but at some point in life, we have been the same. We had the same fears, rejoiced by the same causes, and faced the very same challenges. And one of them is this. We have managed to extract from us to be able to tear from the bottom of this bruised humanity the courage, so that the gospel becomes a very living reality in us. I believe that the more mature we get, the greater the ability to live with the opposites of life, even because they are everywhere. If there is one thing we need to lose naturally is the naive view of things. The first naive view we need to win is that everything will be as we want it to be. It starts there. It is already a jump of maturity when we find that, no, the world will not spin. Things will not be the way we imagine it will be. All reality is immersed in a living process that gives it a feature of being chaotic as well. It is this daily opportunity that we have to offer the other what Christ has done in their heart. The barriers that he has already knocked within us, or everything we have already achieved from us. Because of the daily commitment. To be able to choose between what we have given to us genetically and what was socially conditioned to us. This space of choice. And maturity is precisely when you begin to understand the world without the illusions that everything will be harmonious. Overcome these illusions, these childish, primary understandings in us. It is so fundamental even for us to establish good relationships. You need to start from the principle that you can love a person, that you can establish a crease with them, but it will not be perfect. The only perfect love that exists is that rose that exists in the gardens. It's the only one we know. All others are marked by qualities and limits. And it is only possible to live love. To live the good relationships, if we have this enlightened conscience that they will not be perfect. Here today, we are saying that our love can often be the result of our need. This is what Jesus speaks. When I am not free to love, when I am tied to my needs, I want to love to be loved too. I want to love to be admired for the other. I want to make a gesture of charity so that this can reverberate, and the others will admire me. It is a whole concern with exteriority. The love I love has to first act in the deepest dimensions of my life. There, where everything is backstage. Where there is no publicity. We are justified all the time. We pretend to be a Christian all the time and pretend. Well, Kick, rejected it. Do you think I do not observe this in me every day? Without fear of recognizing here for you. So many times I am hypocritical because I am not able to make the same choices of Jesus. Because I am not able to recognize what really needs me. Where do I need to exercise the royalty of Jesus? Without vanity, without excesses, no arrogance, without arrogance, even in ideas. Because this is interesting, my people. When a person has this living God natural in herself, they naturally add to her many other people who want to live the same experience. Then you understand why the gospel is contagious. That a person truly converted to the gospel, it becomes an attractive, not in the superficial sense of being an attraction, but of provoking the attraction, of being a point of convergence. Yes, we have experienced this a lot inside our home. When you identify that there are some people, it is usually the father, the mother, or an aunt, a grandmother. Someone who has this strength, this charisma of adding, how God uses these people to harmonize difficult situations, create peace in the context of difficulties, to be that weighted person who helps us understand the middle ground. These people are very fundamental in human life. If we want to think of our Christianity with great responsibility, we will have to pass our reflection for this sieve. What do we believe? What do we do with what do we believe? You have been through life, who have seen much more than me. What can I do to be happy? A very sincere question. Perhaps children will do us otherwise. Maybe they still don't know how to formulate like this. Mother, father, what do I need to be happy? Maybe even today, after being grown, we still don't have the courage to ask with all this clarity. We asked other modes, right? Sometimes we ask wrong. Sometimes we ask how we do to be happy through our mistakes. It is interesting to identify that in many falls, in many human vacillings, there is an attempt to be happy. Is not true? Have you ever tried it? You know very well what I'm talking about. It has already experienced the pain of not being happy at the moment you sought to be. Is that so? Life is made of weaknesses. We are made of weaknesses. We don't always choose the right way. The important thing is to ask the child's question to remain alive within us. By the way, I think it's a big challenge is that we keep the child who asks inside us alive. It is interesting that when a child is living the process of discovery of the world, he experiences the philosophical dimension of life, right? You've seen that kids like to ask, right? The phase of whys, right? Why that? Why is that? And happy of the child who lives with people willing to answer these questions. Sometimes we talk, shut up the mouth, boy. It's blind. It is the philosophical phase that we can kill in a child when we are not willing to welcome their questions. Even today, talking to a couple of friends, they talked about the difference of the eldest daughter to the youngest daughter. They say that on the 2 anniversary of 2 years, the girl did not want to wear the dress her mother had prepared, because she always had a very strong desire. From a little girl, Petitinia, she already showed that she manifested what she wanted. I don't like this dress. Ready, and it's over. And at the age of 2, have you ever imagined that? And then he says she put on the dress she didn't want and didn't look at her mother's face throughout the party. Oh, imagine a 2-year-old child. And then I was telling this friend of mine, who is the mother of the child, I said, you can have a big human being indoors, right? Because it has a strong temperament. This girl knows what she wants. But here, guys, it is so determined who will live with this child to help strengthen this the right way, right? Without this will becoming arrogance, or even disobedience. It is much more difficult to live with a child who has keen intelligence, who has a willpower already very present in his personality since he was very young than with a child who is more submissive. So it will take a lot more work to be the father and mother of a child who already demonstrates these philosophical skills and this willpower from a young age. Because we can kill all this entrepreneurship that sometimes this child already has within him, who demonstrates, yes, I don't want this haircut, Dad. I don't want this haircut, Mother. Respect me. It's hard. It is not. It's hard for those who are a parent. It's hard for those who are a mother, because we still carry those things that we have suddenly learned from our parents, with our grandparents, that the child is your unfolding. It is an extension of your body that you have the right to control as you want. No, love is this ability that we have to live with the difference, to equalize it in a harmonious way, so that it is not disrespectful to parents, but at the same time you feed this child who already has the strength to demonstrate what he wants, what you think. It's healthy. That's why we will keep this philosophical child who questions, who passes the end of his sieve all that he sees, everything he examines. Why am I saying this, my people? Because we are living a week in a typical Brazil. We are seeing, from a dissatisfaction of a city like São Paulo, dissatisfied with the readjustment of 20 cents of a bus ticket, this gains the proportions it is gaining. A serious movement, of course, always has the chaff in the middle of the wheat, those vandals who want to destroy. But we cannot. We can throw a movement in the trash. We need to identify that what prevails there is the desire to manifest that the child is alive within us, that we want to question, that we are tired of living within a country where corruption prevails, where we are overloaded daily with tax rates that never return to us. because it would be no problem to pay the taxes we paid in Brazil as long as we had the return of this tax. Now, we paid. And what do we get from what we pay? We have no road. If we want good roads, we have to pay the toll. If we want health, we have to pay a good plan. If we want good education, we have to pay a college for our children. Or, in the public college, our children cannot enter, because we had no money to pay the private elementary and high school that could qualify them better. In this country that launders money in front of our eyes all the time. This monthly country, where people get unpunished, where the crimes prescribed is against it all. The 20 cents were just a tip that showed us that we are bothered by the decisions that are made without our participation. And how beautiful to see the philosophical child who questions and wants a better country, who wants to be happy winning the body in a country that is so often dormant and entertained with his carnivals, his football games, with his mass cultures. And often without generating a responsible political conscience that makes us want this happiness. Not only ours, but of the other. Because it was beautiful. Most of those protesters are talking on behalf of those who ride by bus, nor take buses. Most of those protesters are jointly assuming the suffering of those who are suffering from increasing the passage. I don't walk by bus, but I will express my support to those who are once again overloaded with increases. The philosophical child that makes us think, go around. Want. Wish an ever better country. It's our turn, my people, to demonstrate to governments, and we are not talking about a party dimension. No. It doesn't matter if the government today is the PT, if it's the PSDB, if it's the PSB, if it's the PMDB. What we want is a government that takes care of the people. What we want is that our money will be returned for the benefit of the people themselves. What we want is a fairer country. And there, at that moment, when we allow the philosophical child to win the streets because he decided to question, we can discover a homeland that knows how to welcome our manifestation. Because we want a better world. And this is evangelical. Jesus' proposal is a natural way to happiness. It's not self. Help not, see? Because Jesus' proposal is not magical. It is a change of mindset, as Sao Paulo said very well, and Father Zezinho in this song, in a fantastic way, puts us from the perspective of Christianity as in assuming the posture of Jesus. Think how Jesus thought, love how he loved living as he lived, feeling as he felt, having the totality of our being permeated by feelings, thoughts, posture, and life of Jesus. Have you ever wondered if all our rulers were truly Christian? That they did not wear the mask of Christianity only for their election? You have already wondered if our governments, instead of seeking populist measures that only maintain eternal power, was really concerned about the formation of the human being, the capacity, with life, with the awareness of this people. Is not true? This is religion. This is the responsible political dimension that every religious discourse needs to permeate. It is the change of mindset. Can I not admit that my Christianity is a facade? I don't have the right to go to the streets to protest against impunity, against corruption, if I promote all this corruption and this impunity in minor measures in my life. This is where Christianity touches us. This is where the philosophical child needs to act. Every day at night, this philosophical child needs to take care of us. She needs to prevail against all the hypocrisies that throughout the day perhaps have taken over our lives, and then ask us about this Christianity. If Christianity we practice is a Christian Christianity, because sometimes Christianity, this name, is far from Jesus' proposal. He is a facade. It is only shine, fire, which does not last long. And then the true manifestation is the one that occurs every day when you again commit to the gospel. You look at the life you lived, you honestly identify where you devised yourself. Where you didn't think like Jesus, where you didn't act like Jesus, where you didn't love it as Jesus loved. And then yours assumes the commitment to him. This is fertile Christianity. It is the one who puts us every day from a perspective of analysis and attitude posture, change of attitude. Today I am not going to sleep without allowing my Christian philosophical child, because I am baptized, question myself, about my choices, about what I decided to do, about everything I allowed to be my life today. Because I want to be happy is not true. You also want to be happy. And sometimes we are not happy is because we kill the child who reflects on us, who asks, why am I giving the child's example? Because of the music. And because of the indiscretion that every child has. The child is indiscreet, isn't it? She asks what our judgment often does not allow to ask. She is sincere. That is why Jesus said that he can only enter the kingdom of heaven who is like the children. He is not talking about childishness. He is not referring to a reckless way to live, in a childish, immature way. No. He is talking about the purity of the heart. He is talking about the lack of offenses, the courage to ask and interrogate, of the courage to be true, because no Christianity can be fruitful if he does not pass through the sieve of our truth. Is it being true what I'm living? Do I am more like Jesus today? Or is that just a speech that doesn't touch me? Is my manifestation today, right? Because the Christian, he lives in constant manifestation. Even though I don't go out in the squares to protest, our way of living has to be so coherent that it bothers you. It bothers in a good sense of provoking and the other a question. My God, how honest he is. Seeing God as he is true, how he does not bow to power, as he does not bow to what is not really in accordance with his convictions. He does not bow to anything that is not in accordance with the teachings of Jesus. He does everything with a lot of mercy, with a lot of harmony. But he does not bow. That's what we need, my people. It is urgent in Brazil today, in this Brazil that protests, in this Brazil that wakes up, a Christian stance that is constantly public manifestation, starting with Brazil, starting with our state, our city, our home. See how the great instances are being particularized until they reach us, in my house, and after my house, here in my heart.